with Corey Alexander and Ish Schroff at the KFC Yum Center in downtown Louisville. Cardinals and Canes about ready for tip-off. And we take a look at the starting lineups. Changes for Miami. Anthony Mack, the redshirt freshman transfer from Wyoming, makes his first career start. Zach Johnson, who's been coming off the bench most of the year, he moves into the starting lineup. Miami's only 7 deep, so Sam Wardenberg and DJ Vasiljevic will come off the bench. For Louisville, Darius Perry, Kristen Cunningham, part of the backcourt. Cunningham, a grad transfer from Samford. He is one of the leaders on this team. And Jordan Wara, who we highlighted in the open. He's been practically a 2010 guy the last 6 games.
He really has, and I don't believe anyone expected for Jordan Ward to be this level of rebounder. We knew he could shoot. He showed flashes as a freshman, but his rebounding has really impressed Chris Mack, who, of course, values rebounding more than any coach in the country.
The sharply attired Chris Mack, after a successful 9-year run at Xavier, now in his first year as the head coach at Louisville, the former JV girls basketball coach at Macaulay High School in Cincinnati.
And always giving props to Skip Prosser, the late Skip Prosser, for giving him a chance. You're talking about a guy, and you mentioned it, was a girls junior varsity basketball coach. That's where he got his start. And now he's the head of one of the largest college basketball programs in the country, and he's loving this job.
There is Jim Larrañaga. It's been his most challenging season as a head coach. But if anyone's going to figure this out, it's a guy with more than 600 wins on his resume. They're wiping down the court, about ready for the opening tip. Officials in tonight's game, Jamie Luckey, John Gaffney, and A.J. Desai. Conference opener for Louisville, the finale of a 5-game homestand for the Cardinals. Miami lost its conference opener Thursday against NC State, looking to get their first ACC win. Cardinals control the tip. They will attack right to left.
And we look for Louisville to actually try to get the ball inside early to Stephen Enoch. They want to make sure they have opportunities at the rim. Enoch unable to finish, but an easy putback for Sutton. But we knew from earlier today it was going to be a point of emphasis by Chris Mack to get the ball inside again and try to get Izundu in foul trouble.
Ibuka Izundu, the big man for Miami, has been plagued by foul trouble in the past, and there is no depth behind Izundu.
Well, that's one of the reasons why Jim Larrañaga made the change to bring Sam Wardenberg off the bench, so that he does have the ability to be able to rest Izundu, but Wardenberg not really a post player and definitely doesn't have the girth to compete against these Louisville bigs.
Off the Lawrence air ball, here's Wara. That one in and out. Izundu there for the rebound. Chris Likes, the leading scorer for Miami, 5'7", a dynamo. 28 points, a career high last time out. And Lawrence with a 3 from the outside.
And a defensive breakdown, a mistake by Louisville. And we watched Chris Mack go over that again and again with his team, trading off on that screen and roll and not allowing Amp Lawrence and the shooters for Miami to get an open look, but a confidence builder for Amp Lawrence early.
Here is Darius Perry, the sophomore. Now Cunningham, and an offensive foul against Enoch.
Louisville over and over, and you see the miscommunication. Darius Perry, Jordan Ward not switching off, and 2 guys taking away Zundu, leaving Amp Lawrence wide open at the top of the key to knock down the 3 to start the game.
And Corey, with the lineup changes, Lawrence, who's been playing a lot of 3 this year, moves down to that 4 spot.
And he played at that position a year ago as Anthony Mack gets off to a great start, his first ever start. Big bucket for him and 2 threes for Miami early in this one, and that could be, you know, a factor later. Building that confidence early in the game only helps them out when they get to crunch time.
Mack, a transfer from Wyoming, had a reputation as a shooter. Hasn't had the touch so far. That shot no good. And it will stay with Louisville. Cardinals like to hoist the 3. More than 40% of their shots from beyond the arc. Miami defends the three very well.
And Miami has traditionally been a very good defensive team under Jim Larrañaga. But it was funny to hear him talk about their offense in our opening, where he talked about we'll score and hush the crowd. But it's normally a defensive message from Jim Larrañaga.
There's the defense by Zach Johnson. The transfer from Florida Gulf Coast maneuvers through traffic.
You know, and Miami doesn't look like a team coming off of a loss. They look like a very confident team on the road early in what has always been a hard place to play for opposing teams here in the KFC Yum Center.
Cunningham. Here comes Perry. Wara is open. Wara leaning in off the window for two. Jordan Wara might be the early candidate for the ACC's Most Improved Player of the Year award.
Yeah, up 12.1 points per game from his scoring average a season ago, and doesn't look like he's going to slow down at all.
Light's no good. The tip is no good by Izundu. And here comes Louisville. Cunningham kicks to the corner. Shot fake by Perry. Active hands by Miami. Lawrence the steal. And Light's trapped. Substitutions now for Miami, and Jim Larrañaga told us this would be by design. Sam Wardenberg comes in early, Izundu to the bench. And if you're Louisville now, Corey, are you attacking the paint?
Absolutely, and Coach Larrañaga did tell us that it was a difference playing against Louisville, of course, than it was NC State that they played on Thursday, because Louisville loves to throw the ball into the post. And so Wardenberg has to be prepared to guard Malik Williams, but different guarding Williams in comparison to Stephen Enoch, who's a much tougher cover in the post.
Three not there by Ryan McMahon, and Williams active on the offensive glass. That was a problem for Miami. They were out-rebounded 51-29 Thursday.
And that's the issue with Wardenberg. He's more of a stretch forward than he is a five. And you see already a struggle keeping Malik Williams off the offensive glass.
Johnson. That one batted away by Wara. Louisville the steal. Malik Williams, he can shoot that. Back iron, Mack there to clean. Here's Johnson, Miami's second leading scorer, and able to get to the foul line. Good start by the Canes on the road. Miami by 2. On Thursday, the NCAA ruled Miami's DeJuan Hernandez ineligible. Hernandez, who changed his name from Huel, was Miami's top returning scorer. He was in court documents in the federal corruption case related to college basketball. And Miami has two options now. The school can appeal the decision or declare Hernandez ineligible and apply for reinstatement. So far, Miami has withheld Hernandez from competition the entire season while the eligibility issue tries to get resolved. On the court, the pressing concern for Miami is all the big man depth they had going into the season has pretty much evaporated. Less than 10 to shoot. McMahon calling for the pick. 3 to shoot. Wara beats the shot clock, can't finish. DJ Vasiljevic into the game for Miami. Izundu remains on the bench. Lawrence turns it over. McMahon launches a deep 3, short. And Wardenberg watches the rebound go out of bounds. Zundu back in there for Miami to patrol the paint. There's Chris Likes. Draws the contact, and he will shoot two. The sophomore out of Mitchellville, Maryland. A career-high 28 points last time out against NC State.
And Chris Likes is going to attract a lot of attention by the Louisville defense. You heard assistant coach Mike Pegues for Louisville talking about Chris Likes a lot from the same area, so he's seen a lot of Chris Likes throughout recruiting as well as, you know, being involved in college basketball. And Chris Mack as well. Both these guys very complimentary of Chris Likes in their shoot-around today, but making sure that the Louisville Cardinals knew exactly how dangerous he is.
And Jim Larinaga at Miami has had a history of extremely talented, undersized guards. You think of Shane Larkin, you think of Angel Rodriguez.
Well, I spent a lot of time with Chris Likes, you know, during his recruiting process, and that was one of the reasons why he picked Miami, is because of those guys who have come before him, especially Shane Larkin, who wore the same number 0 as Chris Likes. So, and Chris Likes wanting to be an NBA first-round pick just like Shane Larkin. But another one of those guys, Kristen Cunningham, who would love to be playing in the NBA, gets his opportunity at the rim, and a smaller guard who's able to finish inside.
Cunningham, a graduate transfer from Samford. He was the Bulldogs' all-time leader in assists, and Chris Mack raved about the leadership that he has brought to this team. He said he fit in from day one, voted a team captain as a grad transfer. The players voted, and Cunningham got every vote. Zundu had the mismatch on the inside, but a turnover.
And again, Louisville dodges a bullet on that possession. That was another scenario where Chris Mack does not want Cunningham switched off onto Zundu underneath the basket. There's supposed to be a trade-off, but that's an area where, as a first-year head coach in this program, he's trying to get his guys in order to be able to understand his language. And he talked about the culture as to what it was before he got here, where Louisville was a deny team.
Matchup zone,
yeah, exactly.
Press.
They were so different compared to where he doesn't want to deny. He wants to sit back and play solid defense. He wants to be aggressive, but a different style. So it's almost like reprogramming many of these players who were left over from, you know, the previous staff.
Yeah, it's a pack line defense. Malik Williams. Cunningham drives and kicks. Here's V.J. King, the former McDonald's All-American. Wara catch and shoot. Williams fighting for the rebound, and we get a foul against Louisville. It is on King, his first. There's a football game tomorrow, the final football game of the college football season. Number 1 Bama, number 2 Clemson. Little championship at stake. I'm going to take whoever you're not taking. So,
okay. Well,
you know, if I agree with you this early in the season, it's a bad precedent.
I think it's always bad if you agree with me. I don't like for you to agree with me. But I'm saying right now, and you know, I am a Clemson football fan.
Yep.
My favorite college football team is the Clemson Tigers. They're not going to win tomorrow. Alabama wins another national championship.
Wow, Wardenberg lays it in. I don't know. Clemson's defensive line, I think, will create some problems for Tua. Create some havoc. I like Clemson.
Okay, we're good. Now that we disagree, all is right with the world, and now we can watch the game in peace.
Offensive foul against Wara, his first, and already the 5th team foul on Louisville.
And give Wardenberg a lot of credit, sliding his feet. That's a scenario where, you know, the contact forces a call to be made. I honestly believe that probably would have been better off as a no call, but if there had to be a call made, that was the right call. Wardenberg did get over in position. Although Ward did not stick out that left arm, but that's going to be 2 fouls, I believe, on Ward, which could be important as this game moves on.
Less than 10 to shoot. Johnson down the lane. What an addition he's been. We saw him in the Atlantic Sun Championship game last year. Went for 37 points. Florida Gulf Coast transfer from Miami, getting a chance to come back home. He's been the Canes' 2nd leading scorer. Strong start on the road for Miami. Canes with a 16-8 lead on Louisville. This is a Miami team that endured a 4-game losing streak in non-conference. Lost to Seton Hall. The Hall has been pretty solid this year, but then losses to Rutgers, Yale, Penn. Not to poo-poo the Ivy League. Penn's got the Villanova win. Yale has been a quality team in that conference, but a team from the ACC should win those games. Miami Thursday against NC State. Played great for about 30 minutes, then seemed to run out of gas.
Well, and that's the style of play that Kevin Keats wants to play. They want to be able to wear people down. I asked Coach Larinaga earlier, was it fatigue that hurt them? And he simply said no. It was Amp Lawrence catching cramps and not being available to the team late in that game, which really, forced Miami to make too many changes, and they suffered because of it.
Ibuka Izundu just picked up his first foul. And Jim Larinaga reiterated to us, he has reiterated to Izundu many times, the big guy can't get in foul trouble. In fact, in practice, when Izundu commits a foul, he's got to do 5 push-ups.
Yeah, and again, they actually sat down and had a conversation as to what the punishment should be when he commits fouls in practices, and that's just the level of communication that Coach L has with his team. And Izundu not picking up that first is going to take a seat. I have to do to correct. Jordan Ward only has 1 foul. Thought he had to pick up the second one, but only had 1, but immediately was subbed out by Coach Mack after that foul.
Yeah, that's going to be something to watch, the way the fouls are called, because Louisville is one of the best teams in the country at getting to the free throw line. Miami does not have depth, but conversely, the Canes, 13th nationally in terms of least fouls committed.
Well, and not only does Louisville get to the line, they take advantage of it, shooting over 76%. So that's a part of their offense, and they love to be aggressive in attacking the basket, more importantly, throwing over the top to their bigs.
Vasiljevic hits the 3. He's now hit a 3 in 27 straight games. That's the longest streak in the ACC.
But Vasiljevic, a double-figure scorer, only had 6 points versus NC State. He really was the missing person for the Canes, and part of the reason why they came up short at home and allowed Kevin Keats' team to walk away with the win.
Here comes V.J. King, Jr. from Cleveland. Now Quan 4. Jersey number matches the name on his jersey. Mack, or rather Vasiljevic, comes up with the loose ball.
What other number could he win?
Nah, there's none.
Okay, just making sure.
Likes in and out. Contact down low. They're going to get a foul against Louisville, and Stephen Enoch, his second. Miami takes a 10-point lead to a media timeout.
All right, Jim, got a quick, fast break. When you were growing up, what did you want to do?
I wanted to play in the NBA.
What do you like to eat best?
I would say salmon is my routine dinner meal. My favorite meal that my wife cooks is spaghetti and sausage.
There's an old spaghetti factory just a block away from the Yum Center.
And that impresses you.
Well, I'm just giving Jim Larinaga a little late-night dinner recommendation.
But you've never been to the spaghetti factory?
No, I have not. I saw the sign walking out of the stadium earlier today.
The spaghetti factory was always a option when you had big AAU teams coming in, and you could bring a bunch of guys in to sit down and eat and have a good meal instead of the fast food. And so I've visited a few of those in my day.
Okay.
Probably here in Louisville, Kentucky, playing in the, I don't know, Southern Shootout, whatever. One of the tournaments I played in here, played against Glenn Robinson way back in the day over at Freedom Hall.
Wow.
Yeah. I think he might have had like 50. We won, but he definitely put up big numbers.
And that last foul on Sam Wardenberg. Vasiljevic the 3, good, and Miami 4 of 6 from downtown.
And Vasiljevic didn't get the start, but he's come in the game extremely aggressive, looking for his opportunities early. Only 6 points versus NC State. And he's matched that here already in the first 10 minutes of this game.
Wardenberg. And the Kiwi does not get the bounce, but he gets it back. Likes driving on 4 and able to draw the foul. And yeah, you think about the fouls in this game, you would have thought that it would be Louisville Team that has been the aggressor most of the season in terms of getting to the foul line, but that's been Miami so far.
Well, Miami has come out with an aggressive attitude, and again, if there's anyone that knows that they don't have the numbers, it's the Hurricanes. But they're not going to play as though they're, you know, an injured animal. They're going to come out and pretty much say, we're going to attack you every opportunity. You heard Jim Larinaga in our open talk about we're going to score and quiet this crowd. He respects the Yum Center and this environment for one of the best college basketball environments in the country, and he knows how much of an influence they can be in the game. He wants to keep them out of it.
Both free throws good for Likes. And it's 24-11, Miami. Largest lead of the game for the Canes. Darius Perry driving on Johnson. Blocked by Johnson, but we get a foul.
Zach Johnson thinking that was good defense on his part. Jamie Lucky begging to differ, but a nice move by Darius Perry, and we saw Louisville working on that set. We've seen them throw over the top on the inside, and they can also reject that screen and roll and see if they can get Ward coming off for a three. But right there, Perry doing a great job of getting to the free throw line where Louisville has had success. But again, they haven't been able to stop Miami on the defensive end of the floor. That's been the biggest issue thus far for the Cardinals.
Miami 7 of 13 from the field, perfect at the free throw line. 4 out of 6 from three-point range. Johnson past Enoch, who blocks it. Likes over Perry. The basket and the foul.
Offensive rebounding. Wardenberg doing a great job getting in the mix. And then whenever Chris Likes has an opportunity, he's going to take advantage of it. Darius Perry, who was the guilty party in the infamous foul a year ago versus Virginia, in this building, which allowed Virginia to be able to come back and pull off the most miraculous win in college basketball a season ago. Perry coming up with the foul on a three-point play, allowing Chris Likes the opportunity to have a four-point play.
And that was the loss that sent Louisville to the NIT. They win that game, I believe Louisville would have been in the NCAA tournament.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Virginia was the #1 team in the country at the time, and coming into this building, and Louisville had the game pretty much all but wrapped up. Some mistakes down the stretch allowed Virginia just to have the slightest chance of hope, and they were able to pull it off.
Likes trying to complete a four-point play.
Yeah, Miami struggled from the free throw line versus NC State, only shoot 55% in that loss. And that's an area where we're used to seeing, you know, Miami be very good, especially with the guard play that they've had since Jim Larinaga's had the reins in Coral Gables.
Wara over Mack. Louisville has had to work for its offense. Miami very strong defensively here in the first half. Johnson out of control. Kickball is the call. A tripping call, rather. Oh, no, they do say it's a kickball. They'll reset the shot clock to 20.
Coach Larinaga just now finding out that it wasn't a foul and that it was a kick ball. To his disbelief, he thought his team was going to shoot free throws.
Team to shoot. Lawrence. Entry pass denied, but Ibundu gets it back. And Ibuka Izundu with a chance for a three-point play.
And right now, Miami is just faster to the basketball. They're more aggressive. As you see, this is a loose ball, which turns up to be an opportunity for a three-point play for Ibuka Izundu. 4 Louisville defenders in the area, but Izundu outworking all 4 of those defenders for the opportunity for a three-point play.
Second foul on McMahon, and that's 9 team fouls on Louisville. So one more. Miami shooting 2 the rest of the half.
And Miami has doubled up Louisville here in the first half, and I'm not sure anyone, I know I wasn't expecting this level of performance from Miami, but more importantly, not this level of defensive performance thus far from Louisville.
Jordan Wara has been one of the breakout stars in the ACC. He hits the 3. Inside Izundu. And a whistle on the floor.
Well, what's causing a problem for Louisville defensively, they're switching everything. If you know anything about Miami basketball, they're going to run a lot of screen and roll. Louisville has opted to switch everything, which often forces a mismatch on the bottom. And give Miami credit for doing a great job trying to force feed the ball inside to Izundu to put pressure on Sutton and Moore, the guys who have to go over and switch. When Malik Williams switches out onto the point guard or whoever's coming off that screen on the perimeter.
Sutton picked up the foul, and Miami in the double bonus with more than 9 minutes to go in the half. McMahon. Williams the 3. And the rebound to the 5'7" Lex. Mack to Lawrence, and he traveled. Corey, look at Louisville offensively. Wara averages almost 18 a game. Nobody else in double figures. Miami certainly has more balance. They play less guys. Guys play more minutes. Who's got to be that number 2 option for the Cardinals?
Well, honestly, I think it may have to be Cunningham because he's going to be the guy that's on the floor the most. 20 points versus Kentucky the last time out. And, of course, he's a Georgetown, Kentucky native, a Kentucky kid, so he was excited about that rivalry. But for the point guard who's going to spend the majority of the time on the court, they've got to look to him for opportunities to score.
Sarcastic applause from the crowd as the foul is called on Lawrence. 5th team foul on Miami. Cunningham to inbound. Now Wara gets the bounce and a chance for a 3-point play.
And you have to give Jordan Wara a tremendous amount of credit. This young man has transformed his body, gotten himself into great physical shape in order to take on this role. He wasn't a starter for the first 5 games of the season this year, but played so well, forced Coach Mack to put him in the starting lineup versus Michigan State, and has rewarded him ever since, becoming the only double-figure scorer and, of course, close to 18 points per game. And even tonight, with Louisville struggling offensively, Wara has been the bright spot on that end of the floor for the Cardinals.
Wara in double figures. He's got 10. Amp Lawrence picked up his 2nd foul, so Lawrence on the bench. He is the jack of all for Miami. Mack a contested 3, back iron. Wardenberg chases down the loose ball. Johnson, step back 3. Here comes Cunningham. Miami gets back.
Great decision by Cunningham. They're recognizing he didn't have numbers, pulling it out and allowing his team to get into good offense. But I like the fact that he's pushing the basketball, trying to create football. And right now, the option should be get the ball in the hands of Jordan Wara.
That was a heat check. Yeah, he's still on fire. Offensive foul on Wardenberg. Jordan Wara has gotten Louisville back into this game, and he has woke up this Yum Center crowd. Wara with the last 11 points for the Ville. Jordan Wara, 11 straight points for Louisville to make it an 8-point game.
And he hasn't done it all beyond the three-point arc. Actually started getting to the basket, doing a great job putting the pressure on Miami's defense. And, of course, once they back off, not knocking down one, but 2 3-pointers here so far in the first half. Maybe that one should have counted for 4.
I was just telling you during the break, 10 years ago, you take a shot like that. If you don't make it, you're out of the game.
Absolutely. Now it's just commonplace. In Louisville's workout today, we heard their coaches talking to them about shooting threes at the NBA three-point line. So, again, that's a shot that's capable for Jordan Wara and Dwayne Sutton getting into his wheelhouse, using that strong upper body to be able to finish in the rim. Great job by Sutton. And the patience to be able to watch Miami's defense, see if anyone is coming over to double, and take advantage of the strength advantage he has over Anthony Mack.
Second foul on Mack, who is making his first career start tonight. And Sutton to the line. A transfer from UNC Asheville, second season with the Cards. Led UNC Asheville in scoring and rebounding as a freshman a couple of seasons ago. Zundu against Malik Williams. Now Mack. Blocked by Williams. Numbers for Louisville. McMahon pushing. The line to Wara.
Defense leading to offense. Malik Williams does a tremendous job getting over, blocking the shot. And Ryan McMahon recognizing his teammate Jordan Wara out running. And at least I'll tell you, I coached Jordan Wara and Malik Williams both in the Kentucky Derby Festival 2 seasons ago. Jordan Wara couldn't do that then. This young man has put the work in. He's transformed his body. He's stronger. He's leaner. And he is playing with so much more confidence right now for the Louisville Cardinals.
He spent some time with the Nigerian national team in the offseason. His dad was a coach on the team, and that's helped him elevate his game. Talking to assistant coach Dino Gaudio, who, of course, worked with us for a long time. He said sometimes shot selection becomes an issue, but they don't press it because he can make a lot of shots that other guys would not take.
Yeah, Dino told us he has an opportunity to be an elite-level scorer. As he continues to lock in defensively, this young man could be one of the best players in the ACC, which makes you one of the best players in the country.
Louisville is closed to 3. Miami looking for an answer and trying to silence this Yum Center crowd. Likes to beat the shot clock. Chris Likes, cold-blooded.
I love it. If there's anyone that Miami needs to get going right now, it is Chris Likes.
Likes the crossover. Looking for the answer. It's off the mark. Wara. Oh, he wanted it. Passes it up to Sutton. And the rebound is Zundu.
You know, and Jordan Wara made the right play. I give him the fact he made the right play. Absolutely. That one was going up. The way he's as hot as he is right now, after the pump fake, he let the defender fly by. That shot's going up.
I saw the disappointment in your eyes.
I was so upset.
Johnson with the drop in and the cushion 5 for the Canes.
And this is exactly what Jim Larinaga talked to his team about. When they get that momentum going, we're going to score and quiet the crowd. And that's exactly what Johnson was able to do in that last possession.
18 points for Jordan Wara. Career high is 24. Malik Williams open. And the threes are starting to fall for Louisville.
And you have to respect that when you play against Louisville. At times, Malik Williams may float too much on the perimeter, but he is a more than capable three-point shooter.
Likes to Vasiljevic. Lines it up, and Vasiljevic with his third three-pointer.
And Vasiljevic averages 2.7 three-point field goals per game. So at that average right now, led the ACC in three-point field goal percentage. And again, you're talking about DJ Vasiljevic, Chris Likes. These are guys who have experience playing ACC games. And Vasiljevic off a beautiful pump fake and then positioning himself right back behind the line. He's not going to be fazed by this atmosphere. The thing that Jim Larinaga, they don't have depth, but they do have experience. The 7 guys they do have playing have been around the block a little bit here in this league and know how to handle themselves in hostile territory.
1-1 for Ryan McMahon, a 94% free throw shooter. The foul was on Vasiljevic. Both teams from here on out in the double bonus. The rare miss by McMahon. Akoy Agau, 0 in white, has checked in for Louisville. Young man who began his career at Louisville, went to Georgetown, spent last season with SMU, and now back with the Cardinals. Got a 6th year of eligibility. He's had a number of injuries throughout his career. 5 on the clock. Johnson. Over Agau for 2. Zach Johnson.
And they're going to get an offensive goaltending on Izundu. The ball has pretty much already gone through the basket. But Izundu getting his hand in the rim, wiping away a basket from Zach Johnson after an acrobatic finish.
Our first Super Tuesday doubleheader of the new year features some of the ACC's finest. Zion Williamson, all 360 degrees of him, will go to Winston-Salem to take on Wake Forest. And then North Carolina and NC State, a top 25 matchup from Raleigh. Kevin Keats, he's got my vote right now for ACC Coach of the Year.
And I don't think that's a bad vote. I think there are a number of other coaches that can get involved in that mix. Buzz Williams and what he's done at Virginia Tech thus far. Leonard Hamilton, although they suffered a tough loss at Virginia yesterday. And then again, you know, is Tony Bennett becoming the guy that no longer counts because you
like
just
Coach
get,
K?
like, yeah, because you're so used to Virginia, you know, starting out 10-0 in the ACC.
Here is Agau. No whistle. Izundu corrals the ball.
You're absolutely right. We didn't even mention Coach K. He's #1 team in the country, and we never even mentioned him in the Coach of the Year conversation.
I saw,
and it never crossed my mind.
I saw somewhere he has not won a National Coach of the Year award in almost 20 years.
Well, I'm going to mention a name, and that's going to get you going. As Izundu picks up the 2nd foul.
That's big.
And those are the fouls that Jim Larinaga doesn't want to see Izundu get. Again, you've already established position. You don't have to try to scoot your way up the lane to get even better position because you already have it. Now it puts him in a situation where he has to pretty much take him out for the remainder of this first half because you can't afford for him to pick up that 3rd.
They're going to keep him in there.
That's just because Anthony Mack didn't get to the scores table fast enough. He was on his way.
Ryan McMahon's 3 not there. He's a great shooter, just hasn't been that this year. And now a traveling violation on the rebound called on Miami.
But Anish, here's the thing with that play. Okay, you see 2 Miami players going up. You've got Zach Johnson and Sam Wardenberg. Who is supposed to get that ball?
That's got to be Wardenberg.
You're absolutely right. You, as a guard, you've got to recognize as your big is going after those rebounds, back off, let him have it when you know he has it secured. Don't take the basketball away from your big. That's his job, and don't try to do his job for him. So Zach Johnson, the grad senior, but that one is on him. He has to let Wardenberg take that basketball.
Sutton able to draw the foul. It's like in baseball, a fly ball to the outfield. If the center fielder calls for it, you back off.
Well, and at the same time, if a big gets a rebound and he wants to push the ball up the floor and he turns it over, that's where the guards are yelling at the big guy. So in that scenario, that's where Wardenberg has to be able to tell Zach Johnson, hey, get off the ball, I've got it, and then I'll just hand it to you, but let the big have that rebound.
Meanwhile, Anthony Mack picked up his 3rd foul. Izundu now finds a seat on the bench. 2 fouls Lawrence with 2, Mack with 3. And this is a Miami team down to 7 scholarship players.
And go back to our topic before. You remember, and similar right now with LeBron James, how he's no longer considered as an MVP candidate because you're used to him doing it. That's what we're in similar scenario with Coach K in his coaching. We never even thought about him in that mix. That was close to a backdoor violation.
Wardenberg, back iron. Wara's got the rebound. 18 points in the first half for Jordan Wara. Over the last 6 games, Wara almost 20 points per game, almost 10 rebounds, better than 50% from 3 end of the field. Kristen Cunningham, and it's going the other way. Akoy Agau called for the foul down low away from the ball.
And Agau carves out space, and you see him extend that left arm and move Anthony Mack out of the way. Not a lot of contact. Of course, the crowd here doesn't like it. But again, he went outside of his cylinder to create space for a teammate to come in. That's the right call from Jamie Luckey on the baseline.
Chris Light splits the D behind the back out of bounds. Jim Larrañaga told us with Likes, he's a free spirit. You're going to have to live with a few turnovers because he'll make plays that will wow you, and he'll make plays that other guys, quite frankly, can't.
But it's a great idea, just not executed properly, and that's the only way he can get the ball to the corner. He just doesn't put the pass on point. Jim Larrañaga just looks at Chris Likes and just puts his hands up. He's not upset about the fact that it was behind the back pass. He's upset about the fact that it didn't go where it was supposed to go.
Timeout by Chris Mack. Miami had a double-digit lead in this first half. Louisville has come back thanks to Jordan Wara and his 18 points. Likes with 10. Zach Johnson with 8. Vasilovic, 3 trifectas for Miami. Been an exciting first half. Both of these teams were picked to finish near the bottom half of the ACC. Miami 10th, Louisville 11th. And the Canes early on had it going from the outside.
Well, the three-point shooting is really what allowed them to establish that lead. At one point, it was a 30-15 Miami lead here in this first half. But it was Louisville's three-point shooting, specifically Jordan Wara, who brought them back into this game and now making a one-possession game here with a minute and a half remaining.
Miami's largest lead was what you just said, 30-15, a 15-point advantage at the 9:28 mark. Entry pass. Williams tied up, throws it up toward the rim. Last touch, Miami. Johnson can't believe it.
And that was a tremendously smart play by Malik Williams. He gets on the floor after the basketball, but instead of tying it up, he throws it up on the rim, takes the shot, and the ball hits the rim, which there should be a reset, and gets the offensive rebound, forcing Miami to knock it out. I believe they're going to go over and review, because Louisville is basically telling the officials that the ball hit the rim. And at first glance, live action, I thought it did hit the rim. Going to be interesting to see whether it did or not. The last view that we had didn't show the rim, and should be able to find it. But that was a smart play by Malik Williams, because otherwise, if he just holds the ball, it becomes a tie ball, and you take it out of bounds, it goes to Miami. So we'll see as Malik Williams gets it up there. Still hard to see from that angle, but it looks like the ball does hit the rim. Oh, from that angle, it didn't look like it hit the rim. And the officials come back determining that it did not, so they will play with 13 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Still a smart play by Williams. No, it doesn't hit the rim. Okay, great job by our camera crew. All the different angles. I tell you what, I like our toys.
That one hits the rim. It doesn't go in. And here comes Likes. Johnson draws the contact, and Zach Johnson, who's coming off back-to-back 20-point games, will shoot 2. Malik Williams picks up his first foul. 15 schools, all on one network, a new place to call home. The ACC network coming your way in August 2019. When Zach Johnson decided that he would play his final season elsewhere, he spent his first 4 years at Florida Gulf Coast. One of the places he visited was Louisville, but the allure of Miami and coming home was too much.
Well, it was, and you know, he had a hard time leaving Florida Gulf Coast. We talked to him earlier today about it, and you and I, of course, were there to watch him score 37 points in the A7 championship game a year ago. And he had an opportunity, was about 300 points away from being the all-time leading scorer at Florida Gulf Coast, cementing his legacy there, but chose to come home. But, you know, and he and, of course, DeJuan Hernandez, high school teammates, so thought he was going to have an opportunity to play alongside his boy.
As Sutton knocks down a three to bring Louisville to within one. About an 8-second differential between game clock and the shot clock. Two to shoot. Lice. And it's a shot clock violation. Louisville ball with 8 seconds. And the Cardinals have a chance to take the lead heading into halftime.
And the mistake on Miami's part, they waited way too late in that possession to start trying to attack. It was about 5 to 6 seconds left on the shot clock before Chris Lykes got into attack mode. You need to go with at least 10 seconds to give yourself an opportunity.
Cunningham. McMahon, shot fake. And we go to halftime with Miami leading by 1. The Hurricanes, led by as many as 15, Louisville rallied back behind Jordan Nwora. A Miami team that only has 7 active scholarship players on its roster. Also has foul trouble now to deal with in the next 20 minutes. Anthony Mack with 3. Lawrence, Izundu, both a couple of fouls. Can the Canes hang on for their first league win, or will Louisville open ACC play 1-0? We'll have the second half in just a little bit, but first halftime. Anae Schroff, Corey Alexander back with you at the KFC Yum Center. Miami had a 15-point first half lead. Louisville able to cut that deficit to 1 going into halftime. How?
Well, Miami had 11 first half turnovers, so they had a number of self-inflicting wounds that allowed Louisville to get back into it. Louisville only 9 points off of those turnovers, but then Jordan Nwora got hot. And when he got hot, it was no cooling him off. The only way that they slowed him down was he just didn't get many more opportunities after that stretch in the first half where he ran off about 8 straight points.
Foul trouble an issue for Miami in that first half as well. Izundu, Anthony Lawrence both have 2 fouls. As does Wardenberg, and Anthony Mack has 3. Miami only 7 deep, 5 to shoot. Here's Chris Lykes. 5'7" against the 6'10". Malik Williams, and Lykes slips right past him.
But the smart play there for Chris Lykes is to not settle for the 3. And he has a tendency at times to settle, especially when he has a bigger defender guarding him. Against Rutgers, actually had 2 3-pointers blocked by a bigger defender trying to pull up for 3. So he's learning on the fly and doing a much better job of taking advantage of his quickness when he has a bigger guy guarding him.
Lykes guarded by Quan 4. Now picked up on the switch. Here's Johnson down the lane. The up and under, and Zach Johnson to the free throw line.
Chris Lykes not settling. Again, it would be tough to get the 3 over top of a 6'11" Malik Williams. So uses his ball handling ability and his quickness to get right around and score that right at the shot clock buzzer.
Foul on Cunningham, his second, and Johnson back to the free throw line. We told you about Zach Johnson, grad transfer from Florida Gulf Coast, redshirted his freshman year with the Eagles. Doctors found that he had the same heart condition as Hank Gathers, but Johnson was able to get medically cleared and is one of the all-time leading scorers in the history of FGCU.
And now we're seeing that zone from Miami, trying to protect against the foul trouble.
Louisville practiced against this extensively at shoot-around while we were there this afternoon. Wara leaves it short. Williams the rebound. And a foul against Miami. Anthony Lawrence has picked up his third. He does so much for Jim Larenega's team, and he did not play much of that first half due to foul trouble.
But again, that's not an aggressive foul. That's one of the ones where as a senior, Anthony Lawrence has to stay away from those because you have to recognize his importance of staying on the floor.
Williams over Izundu.
You know, and we watched that zone. That almost looked like a boxing one with Chris Likes trailing Jordan Wara and not allowing him to have the basketball. It wasn't a traditional 2-3 zone, which we've seen from Miami in the past.
The zone has given Louisville trouble this season. Against Tennessee, against Robert Morris. Johnson against Wara. Tell you what, if there was any question whether Zach Johnson can play in the ACC, he's answered that through 2 games.
Well, and Zach Johnson, of course, a much better player as a 22, 23-year-old. Cunningham is the same as a fifth year. And these guys, when you look at the grad transfers, you've got true greatness on both these teams. But they're much better players as 22-year-olds than they are as 18-year-olds coming out of high school and maybe not ready for the ACC level. But both these guys have done a great job acclimating themselves to their respective programs. Johnson for 3.
Back iron. Comes back to Lawrence. He lines it up. Likes the rebound. Lawrence tries it again. No good. Miami was 7 of 14 from 3 in the first half.
But the problem there, Miami with 2 offensive rebounds. I'm sure Chris Mack not happy about that. Chris Mack is about rebounding, puts a bubble over the rim to work on that in practice as his team comes up with the offensive rebound and unable to finish.
They tighten up the rims at halftime.
Well, we had good scoring in the first half. Both teams got into an offensive rhythm. Just took Louisville a little longer than it took Miami.
Crowd wanted to travel. Johnson going up against Williams. And Zach Johnson using his body. He's got 14.
And that was great patience by Zach Johnson, recognizing the shot blocker was going to leave his feet. And Johnson just waited Malik Williams out, allowed him to fly past, and give him enough space to get off his shot.
Juan Ford, the Richmond transfer, averaged 11 a game for the Spiders last year. No look pass to Lawrence. Another 3, and that's way off. Anthony Lawrence struggling tonight. Lawrence, a 6'7" senior. We've seen him guard multiple positions. Started at the 4 today, but he is the Swiss Army knife for Jim Larenega.
He really is. Played the high school, played point guard in high school. He's been all over the floor. A 4-man last year. Started off as back at the 3 this year and now moving back to the 4. So he's very versatile and gives Jim Larenega a number of opportunities. But in this situation, when he's on the block guarding Steve Enoch and with 3 fouls, it's not much resistance he can give up.
Zundu is on the bench, and Louisville attacks inside with Enoch, the UConn transfer. Likes, that's a long 2, and it's good. He's got 14 as well.
No, are you the analytics guy that's going to say that's a bad shot?
That is a bad shot according to modern analytics.
Not when it goes in. Always a great shot when it goes in.
What's the new rule? Beyond the arc or in the paint?
I want you to watch this and you tell me. Chris Likes with a little pity pat. The step back. That's a great shot.
Chris Likes began to assert himself offensively last year when Bruce Brown went down. This year, he's the alpha for Miami.
And averaging over 17 points per game. And dangerous from beyond the three-point arc, but it's not just about his shooting. His ability to beat defenders and get to the rim and finish over taller players allows him to be special. That's why everyone likes Chris.
He has become a darling in the ACC, and he has upped his scoring by almost 8 points per game. Jordan Wara has upped it by more than 12 per game. Both in the conversation for most improved player in the ACC. That's a pretty good list. All 4 of those having terrific seasons for their respective teams.
And as of yesterday, Chris Lykes was actually second behind Jordan Moore until Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Brandon Childress both had big games. 28 points for Childress, 25 Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So they passed up Chris Lykes on yesterday's performance.
Sutton down low. It's going to stay with Louisville. You think about what Miami lost. Bruce Brown, Lonnie Walker, a first-round pick. Brown, a second-round pick. Jaquan Newton, who was a steady veteran guard. And then, of course, Dewan Hernandez, Dewan Huell, what he was known as last year, has not played because of eligibility issues. A lot has fallen on the shoulders of Lykes. Zach Johnson has carried some of that burden. And Amp Lawrence has upped his scoring quite a bit as well.
Well, and Miami has asked, guys that play completely different roles to step up this season. As you mentioned, all the losses that they had. In doing so, what they don't have are the guys behind them to take over the roles that these guys played a year ago. They don't have a Chris Lykes coming off the bench now like they had a year ago because he has to be the guy. So that's where the issue has been. It isn't about the starting lineup. It's about the depth. And these guys, the only team in the Power 6 conferences that has 5 guys averaging over 12 points a game.
Cunningham, open 3. Got it. Tied at 50. Vasiljevic to regain the lead. And Wara there for the rebound, his 6th. Cunningham for the lead. It's good! First lead for Louisville since it was 2-0. Lykes at the other end. Cunningham tries it again. Not this time.
But see, that's the shot you have to take. I respect the heat checks from Cunningham. He's knocked out 2 in a row. I have no problem with that shot. Neither does Chris Mack.
Here comes Lykes off the scramble. Wardenberg for the tie. 3-point shot has not been there for Miami in the second half. 0 for 7 now after making 7 of 14 in the first 20 minutes. McMahon a 3. In and out. Volleyball. Wardenberg saves it.
Smart play here by Chris Lykes, slowing it down and now trying to get Miami into some type of offensive set.
Trying to do it himself, and Lykes is down at the other end. Lykes still down. And we get a foul on the floor. And Chris Lykes,
the back of that left calf.
Oh boy, Jim Larenega's got to be thinking, with all the injuries they've had, not another one.
Well, taking it to the rim makes a great play, and you see that right leg goes out, but I think it's honestly a cramp. And Vasiljevic actually overstretching Lykes' left leg out. No one from the training staff on the floor yet for Miami, which is rare.
And remember, cramps were an issue last game for Miami against NC State. Both Zach Johnson and Anthony Lawrence had cramps. It's been a recurring issue for a number of players throughout the season. And Jim Larenega was telling us before the game, Lykes had off-season shoulder surgery, so it took him a while before he could get back to practice. Vasiljevic was coming off-season foot surgery. You have Izundu, who's been battling a back injury. Take the players that are not part of the equation, that's one thing. The guys who are, many of them still aren't at 100%.
Well, and he's saying that they're not in the level of condition that you would expect for them to be at this point during the season because of all those off-season injuries and the amount of time that they had to take off. I believe he told us that DJ Vasiljevic, from the time that they finished their season a year ago, he didn't actually start playing basketball again until September or October. So that's a long time to be away from the game. And Chris Lykes had to spend, I believe, 3 months on the shelf as well.
So Willie Harrington, number 2 in green, a walk-on, checks into the game for Chris Lights.
And Harrington, a great story. Homeschooled until he got to high school. So a young man who both his parents graduated Harvard. Smart guy.
Put back by B.J. King.
But I don't know if his intelligence is going to help him on the offensive glass, especially with Louisville having the size advantage over Miami at pretty much every spot.
Zundu wanted it. He had Cunningham guarding him. And we're going to get a foul against Louisville. It's on V.J. King, his second. There is Willie Harrington, his grandfather, Dr. Willie Harrington, a 5-time Golden Gloves boxing champion and the first African-American mayor in the state of Tennessee.
And his brother actually plays at Stanford, I believe. But he said that his father took him on a business trip when he went to Miami as a kid. And from there, he was dead set on playing for the Canes. He wanted to go to Miami. And it's kind of hard not to be, fall in love with Coral Gables and the city of Miami when you get down there. So I respect Willie's decision.
Good sign for Miami. Chris Lights walking toward the scorer's table. And he will check in for Harrington. It's been Murphy's Law on repeat for Jim Larinaga this season. Miami led by as many as 15 in the first half. Now, this game, in a lot of ways, eerily similar to Thursday. Miami had a big lead against NC State to watch it slip away. Malik Williams, the offensive rebound.
And Louisville really starting to flex his muscle on the offensive glass. Anything they put up, they've got a chance of going to get it if they're unable to make the shot.
McMahon finally cashes in from 3. He had been 0 for 6 from three-point land.
But again, off of an offensive rebound, the shooting percentage is much higher from three-point range. Give Malik Williams credit for chasing down another opportunity for his team to be able to score.
Wardenberg, the big New Zealander. Now Cunningham. Largest lead of the game for Louisville. Cunningham forces it up. King there for the tip in.
And Malik Williams is limping up and down the floor, pointing to the bench, trying to get out. He may be cramping as well.
Timeout by Miami. Largest lead for Louisville. Cards up by 8.
All right, Cards fans, it's now time for the Kroger T-shirt.
In the ACC opener, Miami watched an 8-point halftime lead turn into a loss. They were outscored by 13 in the second half. Went almost 8 minutes without a field goal against NC State. A couple of players cramped up. And a chance to pull out what would have been an impressive opening win in the ACC was squandered. In this game, Miami led by 15, and Louisville now leads by 8.
Well, and it's about the depth. I mean, Miami, we saw Amp Lawrence cramp up. We saw Chris Lights cramp up in this one and have to leave the game for a second.
Ryan McMahon, another 3. Louisville up by double digits.
And right now, it just seems as though Louisville has more energy than Miami does. Of course, they have the home crowd on their side. But Louisville's getting better offensively while Miami's struggling here in the second half.
Canes 4 of 16 from the field in the second half. Vasilovic his 4th 3. And Miami needed that.
We've talked about this Miami team. This is a team that does have experience. Everyone on the floor in this rotation outside of Anthony Mack for Miami has played ACC games, does have ACC experience, so you can't count them out. But I'm not sure if the numbers will allow them to be effective, especially if Jordan Nwora continues his stellar play. 7th
20-point game of the season for Nwora, whose season high a year ago was 18. Johnson, jump step. Can't get the roll. It'll stay with the Canes. Ryan McMahon missed his first 7 shots of the game, including his first 6 threes, but he's made 2 straight. And Louisville with an 8-point lead.
how things often come back around.
I don't necessarily believe that, but continue.
Okay, so have we not seen a matchup 4 straight years in recent history where the two teams split the first two and then one team wins back-to-back in the second?
Thinking now.
See, you're not really a sports fan. Golden State Warriors, Cleveland Cavaliers,
Right.
LeBron James.
NBA. I was thinking college.
You know how they split the first two, and then Golden State wins the two back-to-back, correct? That's exactly what's going to happen here. Alabama wins the two back-to-back and finishes off the cycle. You're not with that? You're still going Clemson?
You're asking me if I follow your logic because the Warriors won 3 out of 4?
And Alabama will win 3 out of 4 back-to-back, just like the Warriors.
You go with that. I'll go with some empirical evidence on my end.
Oh, wow.
Izundu over Enoch, rebounded by Cunningham. 10-point lead for the Cards. McMahon. He's found with the Midas touch. They've been waiting for that all season. Ryan McMahon. He was found by Dick Vitale. Ends up at Louisville. Louisville has turned a 15-point deficit into a 13-point lead, and Chris Mack just getting started in his first season as the Cardinals head coach. Right now, he has, according to ESPN.com, the #2 recruiting class in the country. 5 ESPN 100 recruits already committed, part of a 6-man class for next season.
Well, and they have no freshmen on the roster this year, but 3 grad transfers. And so, you know, this Louisville team will be much different a year from now, but he will now have his players that he's recruited for the majority. But I think Chris Mack has done a tremendous job of integrating his style of play with the existing players on this team. Oftentimes you see a tremendous amount of turnover when a new coach comes in, but he's done a great job of getting the guys who were here before to play his style of play.
Izundu on the inside and a foul. Expectations, relatively speaking, were low for Louisville this year, but already with wins against Michigan State and Seton Hall as 4 picks up the foul. And even the 4 losses, all to teams currently in the top 25. Lost a heartbreaker to Indiana. Lost in overtime to a Marquette team that could win the Big East. Lost to Tennessee. Against Kentucky last time out, the Wildcat size did give them a problem, but it wasn't like they were blown out in any of these games.
Well, and again, when you look at that down the stretch, all 4 of these teams currently in the top 25. So none of these are bad losses for Louisville. So if they're able to have a winning record in the ACC play, I think you're looking at an NCAA tournament team, which would be miraculous, especially considering everything that this program has been through over the past few years for Chris Mack to be able to come in and do this in year 1.
Offensive rebound, VJ King. And we talked about all the losses Miami has had to deal with. Louisville lost a leader, a captain, in Quentin Snyder. You lose Ray Spalding and his athleticism. Anas Mahmoud, the big guy. Dane Goodell, who can kind of do a little bit of everything, as Izundu picks up his 3rd foul.
Yeah, and Adele and Spalding, both early entries into the NBA draft. Spalding a 2nd-round pick, Adele not getting drafted, but these are 2 guys that could still be here in this program. So, I mean, I think that Chris Mack has done a tremendous job. And let's face it, Louisville, you know, was down to their last out. They had 2 strikes. Fortunately, they had 3 people on base, and they hit a home run by hiring Chris Mack. I mean, and so makes it a grand slam. They walk off, win the game, and I think that's exactly what they got out of this program, and the hire by bringing him from Xavier here to Louisville.
The lead is 14. Sutton checking Johnson, calling for Vasiljevic. 4 threes tonight for DJ Vasiljevic, one of the best shooters in this league. Looking for number 5, and he's got it.
And there's Chris Mack doesn't even look at Malik Williams as if there's a problem with that one. Malik Williams had a hand up, actually put his hand in the face of DJ Vasiljevic. He just still was able to knock that shot down.
Malik Williams working against Izundu, who's got the 3 fouls. Turnaround. He has so much tantalizing potential, range, touch, and size.
He really does. And a young man that is getting better. He's getting stronger, but I love the way that he approaches the game. As I mentioned before, I had an opportunity to coach him at the Kentucky Derby Festival a couple years ago before his freshman season. And I didn't think that he at the time had the maturity to come in and be successful at college basketball. He actually played a lot last year, but has really made a significant jump into his sophomore season.
17 now, meanwhile, for DJ Vasiljevic, a team high. Here's Williams from the outside, showing the range. 15 for Malik Williams, 2 shy of a career high.
And Chris Mack told us that Malik Williams, Jordan Nwora, and Darius Perry, those guys, if anyone had an excuse, it would have been those 3 guys because of what they went through last year as freshmen. So basically, it's like they're playing their freshman season all over again. But right now, the 3 sophomores are doing a great job for the Cards.
And Williams down low matches his career high with 17 and a timeout.
And Malik Williams has shown us everything in the repertoire over his last 3 possessions. The turnaround jump shot, and then the stretch 5, stepping out, knocking down the 3, then running the floor, a simple layup because he's gassed. As Miami doesn't get back on defense, Malik Williams only dunks that one. I believe he needs the blow, but still running the floor for the Cards.
A 15-point first-half deficit. Now a 14-point lead for Louisville. And we remind you, our first Super Tuesday of 2019. This coming Tuesday, Zion Williamson and Duke, the #1 team in the country, will go to Wake Forest, and then a couple of top 25 teams in the triangle, North Carolina and NC State. Kevin Keatts has his personnel now in Raleigh. He can play fast, he can press, he can sub out. He's got that 4-out, 1-in lineup. Already has a win against Auburn. Came back against Miami on Thursday. NC State could be a potential sleeper in the ACC.
Well, I don't think they're a sleeper because I believe the ACC knows all about Kevin Keatts' style. Remember, he went into Chapel Hill a year ago and walked out with a win in his first visit to the Dean Dome. So I'm sure that's something that Roy Williams will remind his team about going into Raleigh on Tuesday night.
Vasiljevic, he has been the Miami offense of late 19. And Williams there for the rebound. A double-double for Malik Williams. They're going to feed Williams. Izundu backs off. Williams has the hot hand.
But you have to recognize who you're guarding. If Izundu knows that Malik Williams can make that shot, he backs up. Easy pickings for Williams.
Anthony Lawrence, who's been a non-factor tonight, and able to draw the contact. He was in foul trouble in the first half and just has not been able to get going. Williams picking up the foul.
We mentioned the recruiting class coming in for Chris Mack, but some pretty good leftovers as well. Jordan Nwora, Malik Williams, what they've been able to do here this evening has been spectacular. It was a Jordan Nwora show in the first half, and Malik Williams has stole the show here in the second half for the Cards. If they continue this level of production, Chris Mack gets those high-level freshmen in here next year.
And they have VJ King if they can unlock his potential, a former McDonald's All-American. Here is Quan Four, the Richmond transfer. Nwora. Only 2 in the second half, but there's Williams, who's been everywhere. A career high tonight in points and rebounds. Four for 3. That's what we call a dad joke.
Well, you know, you have a little one, so you are a little sleep deprived. You can get away with telling dad jokes. My son's 21. I can't say that.
No. You need the latest material. (82-66). What a turn in the second half. And, you know, you got a feel for Jim Larrañaga and Miami. We said it at the top of the broadcast. Short-handed, a depleted roster. The healthy players, quote-unquote, are battling injuries. Chris Likes pulls up and gets it to go. He's got 18. And a timeout by Jim Larrañaga. 3:0, 2:57, excuse me, to go here in regulation. Louisville in control. Sports Center tonight with SVP at 11 Eastern on ESPN. He'll break down the Wild Card Weekend games and visit with the stars of the games, plus the first look at all four divisional round matchups. And on the eve of the Bama-Clemson championship game, Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney sit down for an exclusive interview.
So we're talking to Dak again, then. Wild Card Weekend stars of the game. Are we still talking to Dak?
I would
Okay, I'm just
say
checking.
tune in to find out.
I'm just checking. Make sure we're talking to Dak, Zeke, and Amari Cooper. You know, the new triplets for the record.
Okay.
How about the
new
Cowboys?
triplets? You're going there.
How
Wow.
about them Cowboys in these?
I mean, it's not 1995,
No,
but
it's 2018 and we're still alive, baby. It's 2019 now, isn't it?
put back for Sutton. You really think Dallas gets past next weekend?
I didn't say that. I just said, how about the Cowboys? We got past this weekend.
That's been a challenge for the last decade plus. Getting to this weekend has been a challenge for the last decade plus.
And I notice how you never claim a team, for the record.
Well, they wear green, and usually you kind of keep that on the low key.
Man.
Wow.
Right now, the Cardinals are operating on all cylinders. Chris Mack has to be excited about the second half of his team. And the way they came out of the locker room, not a great start for Louisville.
No.
Miami had all the confidence going early. And I will give Louisville's defense a lot of credit for tightening it up, but Miami did just miss a bunch of shots. They got open opportunities, unable to finish shots in the second half that they were able to finish in the first half. Jim Larrañaga says it's not fatigue, but I think fatigue has to play a factor in that. I know he doesn't want to use it as an excuse, but when you're only playing 7 guys at this level, it's tough to compete for 40 minutes.
And as he told us, the DNA of this team changed. And he thought he was going to have size and frontline depth, but that has completely been thrown away.
But he's not the only coach that's had to deal with that. I will say that, you know, of course, injuries are a part of the game. They lost Dan Gatt because of injuries. You thought you were going to have DeJuan Hernandez. The plan was always to redshirt Rodney Miller, but he's not the only coach having to deal with that in college basketball. I mean, this is just part of the job, but it's tough for a team that is, you know, perennially so good to have to deal with this. And this is one of the teams that being an NCAA tournament team early in the year, I think it's going to be very tough for them to get back to that point.
And they've got a brutal, brutal January schedule. Chris Likes picks up the foul. Miami on Wednesday visits what was a top 10 Florida State team. It will still be a ranked Florida State team come Wednesday. Then a home game against Wake Forest, the oasis in the desert, because after that, North Carolina at Syracuse, home against Florida State and Virginia Tech, and then they go to Charlottesville to begin February.
And right now, you would probably say that the only game that Miami would be favored in is that Wake Forest game on Saturday, because outside of that, going to an angry Florida State team that got beaten at Virginia in a top 10 matchup, and then having to deal with North Carolina. So it's, again, the ACC is a very unforgiving league. And Miami has had success. They're one of the only four programs in the conference that's won 10 conference games over the last 4 seasons. So there are people who are waiting and licking their chops for opportunity to beat up on Miami. And again, Jim Larrañaga's team isn't going to go down without a fight. But Miami has beaten a lot of people pretty bad over the last few years. There are going to be teams waiting to get a quality win against Coach L.
It's a Miami team that's been to the big dance the last 3 years. Louisville on its way to opening conference play with a win. Miami will fall to 0-2 in the ACC. Johnson. He was looking for his third straight 20-point game, and McMahon, who had 12 points all in the second half, will dribble out the clock for Louisville.
And for the record, Louisville much better than I believe everyone thought they were going to be. I think Chris Mack has a team that's going to contend in this league.
In his first ACC game as a head coach, Chris Mack delivers a W. Louisville turned a 15-point first-half deficit into a 17-point victory. The Cardinals did it with balanced scoring. Jordan Nwora carried a lot of the burden in the first half. He had help in the second half. Ryan McMahon was big, and Malik Williams might be unlocking some of that enormous potential.
Absolutely, and there are a lot of pieces for this Louisville team. And when they're playing defense the way that they have and showing that toughness that Chris Mack likes, I think this team has a chance to beat anyone in this league on any given night. But, of course, this ACC is a very unforgiving league. They got a lot of tough challenges ahead.
And we're just getting started in conference play. For Louisville, they're now 1-0 in the ACC. Miami falls to 0-2. The Hurricanes have to figure out the formula with this depleted roster. But for this Cardinals team, a good start going into league play. Next up for Louisville, a date with Pittsburgh on the road Wednesday. Coming up next on ESPNU, Stanford and USC.